Okay, again, thank you everyone for participating, and let's get right into the presentation. First of all, to give credit where credit is due, I am borrowing some content from two very, very good books, which I strongly encourage all of you to acquire and read. The first one is called Project Management 2.0 by Dr. Harold Kersner, and I did have the great honor to share the stage with him at a PMI Day of Learning in Detroit a number of years ago. And I have put together a number of different presentations describing the 6 elements of PM 2.0. So if there's interest on part of any of you listening to this presentation, I would be happy to get back to you in more detail, and we can discuss how we could get some of that content in front of your colleagues and your organization. And the second book, of course, is called Project Sponsorship by David West. And it's an excellent book that describes in great detail the role of a project sponsor in contributing to the success of a project. So a brief agenda about what we're going to talk about over the next 20 minutes. First of all, why are we here? What are we talking about, and why is this important? Briefly recap the project life cycle stages, then the roles and responsibilities of the project sponsor. And I'm going to talk in some detail about the importance of the sponsor's role during project governance and project planning. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about the sponsor's role in project execution, although I have included a number of slides in the presentation that I would encourage you to go back and read after the fact. And lest I forget to mention it, I would be more than happy, I would be really delighted to be able to send all of you a copy of the presentation. My email will be displayed at the end of the presentation. Simply send me an email, and in the next day or two, I will send you a copy of the presentation, because I always include more content in my presentations than I have time to go over, because I want to encourage you to go back and read the presentation at least a second time. And then some closing thoughts. And before I neglect to mention it again, this presentation is a very brief excerpt from a 2-day certificate class that I developed and teach at Lehigh University as part of their executive education program. It's a 2-day class specifically for executives, explaining to them what it means to be a project sponsor and how critically important that role is in ensuring the success of the project. So if any of you are interested in more detail about that class, I would be happy to send you information, and if there's interest in having the class presented in your organization, I would be happy to do that as well. So moving forward here, why are we here? Why are we talking about this? Projects are critical to the success of every organization, even more so in these trying times that we're living through right now. But it is absolutely essential for an organization, a company, or any other entity to evolve, to change, to grow. If you are stagnant, you will eventually fail and cease to exist as an organization. And the only way that an organization can change is through projects. And I think this particular quotation is especially important right now. It says that by 2025, senior leaders and managers will spend at least 60% of their time selecting, prioritizing, and overseeing the execution of projects. This is really very, very, it's a sea change, in essence, in terms of what it means to be an executive in an organization. It's no longer enough to simply presume that as a sponsor, you simply sit in a couple of status meetings and write checks and sign checks. The role of the sponsor is much, much more involved than that. And as we'll see in a second, perhaps the most important element in project success. Now, I'm not going to dwell on the success rate of projects. I'm sure all of you listening to this presentation have a very, very successful project methodology and project governance process, but unfortunately, a lot of companies do not. And unfortunately, many projects that are initiated fail to deliver the business value for which they were justified. Now, Computer Aid has participated in a number of academic studies where we have analyzed the root cause of projects that did not meet their business objectives. And without going into a lot of detail, what you can see on this particular slide is that the #1 cause for projects failing to meet their business objectives is lack of top management support or commitment to the project. Now, it's not because managers are bad people or because they're not particularly prepared. The issue is that unless an executive has come up through the ranks of project management, he or she is not aware of the critical role of the project sponsor, and certainly is not aware of all that the project sponsor role entails. And if your organization does not have training or a class or some kind of assistance to help executives in the role of project sponsor, you need to do that because very often, as I said earlier, the executives simply don't know what all is expected of them and all that they are required to do throughout the life of a project. Now, here's another study that we participated in with another university, and again, you can see that of the people-related risks, lack of top management support came out as the #1 reason for projects failing to meet their business objectives. Now, this is not a new slide for any of you. This comes directly from the Project Management Institute, basically the 5 phases of the project. The ones that are most important for the sponsor to be involved with are initiation and planning. Now, certainly implementation, execution, control, closure. As I said, I've got slides in here that describe the ongoing role of the sponsor, but it is absolutely vital that the sponsor be involved and take ownership of the initiation and planning phases of the project. Now, the role of the project sponsor, which may not be clear to all, is an active senior management person responsible for identifying the business need or opportunity, ensuring that the project remains a viable proposition and that the benefits are realized, and resolving any issues outside the control of the project manager. Now, just to highlight some of the responsibilities: identify the business need, own the business case, hire the project manager, which I call a project leader. We'll talk about that in a second. Translation, and I'll explain that also in a little bit, and then ensuring that resources are available. It's a leadership role. It's responsible for ensuring that the resources needed for the project are available and provided, and for demonstrating visible support not only to the project team, but to the sponsor's peers, the other executives in the organization. And here's a little bit more detail. I won't go through this for all of the items. But it's important that the project sponsor be a visionary. It's important that the expectations of the project are communicated continuously, constantly throughout the organization, and that is one of the sponsor's responsibilities.
Hi there, I hope you enjoyed that last clip. My name is Michael Maludis, and if you'd like to watch the full 60 minutes of that last webcast, while also getting complete unlimited access to our entire library of IT learning, simply visit our subscribe page at greatpro.org/subscribe. Unlimited annual access is $199 per year, but if you use the coupon code LEARN2EARN, you can drop that membership fee to just $149. That's less than $13 per month for unlimited access to over 1,000 hours of on-demand career development, covering the entire spectrum of IT management best practices, including business analysis and requirements, software development, quality and testing, risk management, process improvement, project management, and even digital transformation. But your membership doesn't just give you unlimited access to our vast learning library. You also get free access to our mobile app, as well as direct access to our network of over 300 of the world's leading IT consultants, all of whom are dedicated to putting practical knowledge at your fingertips so that you can learn more and earn more. I hope you will join me in becoming a member of the Great IT Professional and advancing your career with us. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button above so that you get notified whenever we publish new free webcasts each week of the year. Thank you for your time and best wishes for your continued success.